You get one of these? You look very like my friend of mine, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Where are you from? Are you
Canada.
on tourist?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm doing some evangelistic work today.
Oh, okay, nice.
Apparently they do that in Canada as well.
It's what, sir?
Apparently they do that in Canada
Yeah,
as
they
well.
do. They do.
Can be kind of controversial out there in Canada these days.
Sometimes, yeah. It's hard because
Are you a Christian yourself?
I am.
Oh. Do you ever get engaged in sharing the gospel with people?
Not as much as I would like.
Is that because of restrictions there in Canada, or?
No, it's just I don't know. I just haven't got up there in my faith yet.
Oh, I see. Well, it takes a bit of an effort. You know, I've had a lot of people criticize things and how we do things, but at least the biggest success is getting out the door. You know, and we don't have the answers for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't expect them all the answers, but you know, at least something to connect with people and just to share with them. Are you on holiday here for a while?
Yeah, I'm actually leaving tomorrow.
Ah.
Yeah, I've been here for a week, so I was at a wedding.
Right.
The wedding was yesterday, so I'm taking the train to Dublin and flying out Monday.
Right.
So, are you from here?
Oh yeah, I'm pastoring a church here in Killarney, but I'm just I like to come out as often as possible to go and talk to the people. I get to know quite a lot of people this way.
Yeah.
And we also record stuff for YouTube,
Okay, cool.
so that people can learn that, hey, you can do what I'm doing. I'm only talking to people. That's all it is. You know,
Yeah.
You know, and who knows? Somebody might be just saying, you know, I wouldn't have known where to turn to for answers.
Yeah.
You know, and I say, okay, well, we can talk about it. One thing I'm trying not to do is, I do preach, but I'm not preaching down at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to just talk at their level. So.
Yeah, because some people are not as receptive to it, or they don't like it all that much.
I know the world is pretty much against it, but the fact of the matter is that who do we think is going to be receptive? Unless God does a work in people's lives, we're all the same, you know.
We are very the same. Yeah. It's just, yeah. I believe myself. It's just like I haven't been following through with a lot.
When you say you're a Christian, how would like you define that?
What?
Because if someone says, well, I kind of do a bit of witchcraft, a bit of tarot cards, I'm into astrology, but I'm also Christian, I go, really? Like, how would you define a Christian then?
It's hard to define it. I think it's hard to define.
Do you not? What about a biblical definition?
Biblical definition. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm Christian, but like I don't really read the Bible.
You don't read the Bible, okay?
No. That's actually one of the things that I want to start doing. But
do you think that now when I talk about Christians, I'm talking about someone who God has done something initially called being born again. Now, some people describe this slightly differently. They say, I don't know really how to describe it, but one minute I was in the darkness, now I'm in the light, but I don't know really what to do next. Maybe that could happen to someone, but the first thing they're going to do is get faith to believe that they could be, first of all, they recognize that I'm a sinner, and then they would start to realize, well, if that's the case, then I need to get right with God. Then they're going to have faith to believe that God would forgive them and receive the gift of God's salvation. So that's the bottom line. But then what do you do? Well, because I experienced all of that, but I began to go to church. I began to seek out other Christians who were also believers, and I just grew and grew and grew in the things of God.
Yeah.
See?
It's also important to surround yourself by good people too, for people that are going the same way you're going, through the same faith, right?
Yeah. So what can I ask? What is your name?
Santiago.
Santiago. Okay. Well, I mean, do you think there was ever an initial time whenever something happened that you would say you're a Christian, or is it just an upbringing type of a thing?
It's not. I mean, there's been a bunch of stuff that's happened in my life that, in a moment, it has brought me a little bit closer to God, right? I just haven't, like you said, that light bulb moment.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we can't bring that about ourselves anyway.
Exactly.
I've often referred to a man who, now this is broad daylight, but it's completely different, but there was a man who came to Jesus by night. John chapter 3. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, let me show you real quick. Doesn't take long. John chapter 3. Now I've got the glasses on, so I have to lower them for a second. This is the story of Nicodemus. It says, there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews, so he's a religious guy. This man came to Jesus by night and said to him, Rabbi, which means teacher, we know, now I suppose he means him and his buddies, the other Pharisees, we know that you are a teacher come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with him. Well, Jesus didn't say, well, that's very observable of you, well done, yes, I'll explain who I am, everything, etc. He just said to him, Jesus answered and said to him, most assuredly I say to you, unless you are born again, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Never going to see it. Forget about it. And not only that, Nicodemus said to him, how can a man be born when he's old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, most assuredly I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom. So first of all, seeing, now entering, never going to happen. Enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes, you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from or where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. And Nicodemus answered and said, how can these things be? So basically he's saying, what has to happen in someone's life is a rebirth of the Spirit. Because at the moment that we're in this world, born in this world, we're spiritually dead towards God. No interest. Like, basically, the walking dead in a spiritual sense, no interest in the things of God. But God just takes a hold of a person, breathes life into their spirit, and they are born again. But he doesn't leave them like that as just spiritual orphans. He brings them into a relationship with himself through adoption. That is, that he sees them as his own child. And then, the whole process is that you believe that God will take away. So when I got born again, it was a process, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, I was crawling out of a pub.
Okay.
I wasn't looking for God in the slightest. So when I thought, well, I could have died tonight, what would have happened if I had died tonight in my present condition? Now, I wasn't born again at this point, but something had begun to happen at that moment. I thought, why would I start thinking like this? That if I had died tonight, where would I be? So I began to think, God, if God is real, and I believe there is a God, and if God is holy, and I believe God is holy, then where would that leave me? And I realized I'm in trouble. So that for 6 weeks, this process of thinking things through happened to the point where I began to say, I need to get out God seriously. And I was praying literally every day, God forgive me, God forgive me, God forgive me, God forgive me, thinking maybe if I said enough times, or I would have a feeling of change. And one night in my bedroom, I had prayed to the point where I said, look, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I thought it would be a matter of just praying and something would happen. And I tried to picture what would happen if I tried to picture Jesus on the cross.
Yeah.
Because I'm not Catholic, but I kind of know this. So I tried picturing that, thought that might help push things along a bit.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Then I thought, well, okay, let me try to picture Jesus carrying the cross at least up to the place where he's going to be crucified. But in my imagination, I'm going to have him turn and look at me personally. I try to imagine all this thing, and maybe it will help me to personalize this. Still nothing happened. I was about to give up. This is in my own bedroom. 17-year-old. And then the thought came to me from somewhere, I believe it was God, and it was this: do you believe that God heard your prayer? Well, I never actually stopped to think about that. Wait a minute. Do you believe that God actually heard your prayer? And I thought, yes. And then the thought came the second time, well, if he heard your prayer, wouldn't he give you the thing that you asked for? And all of a sudden, from nowhere, I had faith to be able to pray. I said, that's what the problem is. I haven't been believing it. I've been hearing it, mentally agreeing it, but did I actually believe? So then I said these words: God, I've asked you to forgive me, therefore I am forgiven. God, I've asked Jesus Christ to change my life. Well, then, He's my Lord and Savior. As soon as I got the words out of my mouth, it all became a reality. All the pieces started to fall together, and I said, that's it. I wasn't believing it. Maybe that's the case, and many people, maybe yourself, I don't know, just never have actually believed that when you ask God, change my life, make me a different person, be my Lord and Savior, forgive all my sins, you have to believe.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the result of faith, which we do not personally have until God gives it to us. And that faith comes by hearing the word. That's why, one of the reasons why I read, rather than just spoke those words, read so you could see it yourself. It's because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So Santiago, I have hopefully at least steered you in the right direction, or dropped in a seed that God can water, and maybe He will take that. But what you could do is, when you do have time alone, just stop and pray about it. Say, God, I said I'm a Christian to that fellow on the street today, but am I really a Christian? Or am I just someone who thinks they are? I need to think that through.
Very true.
Okay, now inside that track that I gave to you, there's a lot of funny stuff.
Okay.
I must admit, there's a lot of funny one-liners. But there, at the middle here, there's a thing called an editorial. And in that editorial, it kind of gives you the gospel again, just so you're...
Okay. Cool.
Okay. And if you ever want to look up my Living Rock Church on YouTube.